Picture this. While you slept last night, American military planners finalized access agreements to 5 Philippine ports that handle more cargo than some entire countries. Not through conquest, through contracts signed in boardrooms that most Filipinos never heard about. This is the reality of 2026. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, quietly expanded beyond its original 5 sites to include strategic port access that reshapes Southeast Asian power dynamics. While China constructs artificial islands 200 miles from Palawan, America secures something more valuable: the infrastructure that keeps 110 million Filipinos fed, employed, and connected to the world. Here's what your government isn't telling you. These ports process $95 billion in Philippine trade annually. They employ over 300,000 people directly. They handle everything from the rice that feeds Metro Manila to the semiconductors that power global technology. And now, they're becoming the front line in a competition that will determine who controls the world's most important shipping lanes. Today on Discovering the Earth, we're revealing the 5 Philippine ports where American influence runs deeper than official statements suggest. The hidden reason isn't just about trade routes or military strategy. It's about survival in an era where control of Asian waters determines global prosperity. The countdown starts now. Number 5. Subic Bay. Subic Bay tells the story of American strategy in one powerful image. Eagles that once soared here, departed in shame, and returned by invitation. From 1901 to 1992, this was America's largest overseas naval base. 60 warships called it home. Then Mount Pinatubo erupted, covering runways in ash, and Philippine nationalism demanded the Eagles leave. The last American sailor departed November 24, 1992. Many thought forever. They were wrong. Under EDCA's 2023 expansion, U.S. forces now rotate through Subic with access that would have shocked those 1990s protesters. Not as occupiers, as partners in an increasingly dangerous game. The economics tell the real story. Subic Bay handles 850,000 20-foot container equivalents annually, worth $12 billion to the Philippine economy. The Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority employs 95,000 people across its Freeport zone. These aren't just statistics, they're families whose livelihoods depend on ships arriving safely. But safety isn't guaranteed anymore. Subic sits 75 nautical miles from Scarborough Shoal, where Chinese maritime militia vessels harass Filipino fishermen weekly. The Department of Foreign Affairs documented 847 incidents in 2024 alone. When tensions spike, U.S. ships rotating through Subic can respond in 90 minutes instead of 3 days from Guam. Recent infrastructure upgrades reveal the scope of integration: new fuel storage facilities, enhanced communications equipment, pier modifications that accommodate Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. The price tag? $180 million in combined Philippine-American investment. The shocking truth about Subic? Chinese submarines now patrol these waters more aggressively than any time since the Cold War, making American partnership not just convenient, but essential for Philippine sovereignty. Number 4. Manila North Harbor. Every morning at 5 a.m., Manila North Harbor pulses to life with controlled chaos that feeds the nation's soul. 2 million passengers annually, 500,000 vehicles each month, cargo worth $18 billion flowing to Luzon's 57 million residents. This isn't just a port, it's the circulatory system of Philippine democracy. Since early 2025, joint logistics exercises here have tested scenarios that keep Pentagon planners awake at night. Why Manila's primary harbor? Because 35% of all Philippine imports flow through this 40-hectare facility, according to the Philippine Ports Authority. Disrupt this port, and you starve the archipelago's political center. History echoes loudly here. In February 1945, American forces fought building by building to liberate Manila from Japanese occupation. Over 100,000 civilians died in that urban nightmare. Today, Americans return not as liberators, but as partners securing the same strategic choke point against a different authoritarian threat. Consider this war game scenario. China moves on Taiwan, triggering the Malacca Strait closure. Global shipping insurance quadruples overnight. Alternative routes through Philippine waters become critical for $2.8 trillion in annual trans-Pacific trade. U.S. access to Manila North Harbor means pre-positioned fuel, medical supplies, and communication equipment ready for immediate deployment. The Filipino dividend is real. Modern container cranes reduce ship turnaround time by 30%. Digital tracking systems prevent the corruption that historically plagued port operations. Intelligence sharing protects the remittance flows, $32.2 billion in 2024, that sustain millions of families. Pentagon simulations show a stark reality. Humanitarian aid deployment speeds increase 40% with permanent logistics hubs. During Super Typhoon Odette in December 2021, international relief coordination took 72 hours. With embedded American capabilities, that timeline shrinks to 12 hours. Manila North Harbor doesn't just handle cargo. It handles the lifeline of democracy in Southeast Asia's most strategic archipelago. Number 3. Mactan-Cebu International Port, the Southern Fortress. Cebu earned its title Queen City of the South through commerce, culture, and strategic geography that now makes it invaluable to American Pacific strategy. The numbers paint a picture of economic vitality. Mactan-Cebu International Port processes 980,000 20-foot containers annually. It anchors a $22 billion regional economy spanning the Visayas. Electronics manufacturing here generates $28 billion in exports. The semiconductor in your smartphone likely passed through these docks. But geography is destiny, and Cebu's location is perfect for projecting power southward. The port sits 420 nautical miles from China's militarized Spratly Islands, where 7 artificial reefs now bristle with surface-to-air missiles and radar installations. When Chinese vessels test Philippine resolve, like the December 2024 ramming incident at Ayungin Shoal, responses launch from Cebu in 5 hours instead of 8 hours from Manila. American influence here takes sophisticated forms. Radar upgrades that detect submarine movements 200 miles away. Drone operations coordinated with Philippine Coast Guard patrols. Intelligence fusion centers where American analysts work alongside their Filipino counterparts, sharing satellite imagery that protects fishermen and commercial vessels alike. The Center for Strategic and International Studies calls Cebu an unsinkable aircraft carrier in academic papers. But it's an aircraft carrier that pays for itself through legitimate commerce. Tourism alone generated $3.2 billion before COVID-19, employing 400,000 people across the Visayas. Recent Balikatan exercises revealed something remarkable. Maritime incident response times improved 45% with permanent American logistics support. That's the difference between Chinese fishing militias establishing facts on the water and being deterred by credible rapid response. For families with relatives working in Cebu's call centers, hotels, and factories, American partnership means job security in an increasingly unstable region. For global supply chains, it means resilience that doesn't depend on Chinese cooperation. Number 2. Palawan ports, the spear tip of sovereignty. Palawan stretches like a 425-kilometer spear thrust into the heart of the South China Sea, and its ports now serve as America's forward operating positions in the world's most contested waters. The geography is unforgiving and strategic. Balabac Island, at Palawan's southwestern tip, sits just 50 nautical miles from China's militarized Mischief Reef. Puerto Princesa, the provincial capital, overlooks the Kalayaan Island Group, 9 features that international law recognizes as Philippine territory, but China claims through its historically absurd 9-dash line. This isn't academic debate. Real families suffer real consequences. Palawan's fishing industry employs 180,000 people directly, supporting 750,000 dependents across the province. Chinese maritime militia harassment, documented in 2,300 incidents since 2020, threatens livelihoods that have sustained coastal communities for generations. Under EDCA expansion agreements finalized in April 2024, American forces now maintain rotational access to 3 Palawan facilities: Puerto Princesa's commercial port, Balabac Island's military outpost, and a classified location that intelligence sources describe as game-changing for South China Sea operations. The stakes couldn't be higher. These ports enable critical resupply missions to 2nd Thomas Shoal, where Philippine Marines maintain the BRP Sierra Madre, a deliberately grounded, World War II landing ship that serves as a sovereignty marker on Ayungin Shoal. When Chinese Coast Guard vessels attempt to block these missions, American reconnaissance assets and logistics support ensure they succeed. High-mobility artillery rocket systems, HIMARS, now rotate through Balabac under joint training agreements, providing precision strike capabilities that reach 500 kilometers into disputed waters. The message to Beijing is unmistakable. Philippine sovereignty enjoys powerful backing. For Palawan's 900,000 residents, American partnership means protection for tourism revenue, fishing rights, and energy exploration that could transform the province's economy. For global commerce, it means keeping $3.37 trillion in annual South China Sea trade flowing freely. Number 1. Cavite Naval Base and Sangley Point. The number 1 position belongs to a naval facility with 120 years of shared history and unlimited strategic potential, Cavite Naval Base and its companion facility at Sangley Point. This is where American-Philippine military cooperation began in 1901, when Admiral George Dewey established a coaling station after the Battle of Manila Bay. Today, it's where that partnership reaches its most sophisticated form, a joint operations center that coordinates maritime security across the entire South China Sea. The numbers reveal the scope of integration. Cavite serves as headquarters for the Philippine Navy's West Command, responsible for 1.7 million square kilometers of ocean territory. Sangley Point, just across Canyacao Bay, handles civilian cargo worth $8.5 billion annually while providing cover for military operations. Since January 2025, American rotational forces maintain permanent headquarters facilities here, complete with intelligence fusion centers, satellite communication arrays, and rapid deployment capabilities that Pentagon officials describe as full-spectrum maritime dominance. Why does this matter more than any other port? Consider the choke point effect. Manila Bay funnels through waters that China's growing submarine fleet increasingly patrols. Recent sonar detections show Chinese nuclear submarines operating within 100 miles of Cavite, closer than they've ever been to the Philippine capital. The economic implications are staggering. Sangley Point processes 340,000 containers annually, while infrastructure improvements have reduced port congestion by 25%. For the 8.2 million overseas Filipino workers sending money home, these efficiency gains translate to faster, cheaper remittance transfers. Here's the ultimate revelation. Military analysts believe Cavite's American partnership could determine the outcome of any Taiwan scenario. If China moves on Taipei, this facility becomes the coordination center for operations spanning from Japan to Australia, a role that could reshape Asian geopolitics permanently. The hidden truth about Cavite? It's not just a port or naval base, it's the cornerstone of an alliance that will define the Pacific century. These 5 strategic ports, Subic Bay, Manila North Harbor, Mactan-Cebu, Palawan's forward positions, and Cavite Naval Base, represent more than American influence in Philippine waters. They're the foundation of a partnership that acknowledges hard truths about power in the 21st century. This isn't about surrendering sovereignty to foreign interests. It's about leveraging historical alliances to protect economic prosperity and territorial integrity when authoritarian powers threaten both. Every container that moves through these facilities, every job they generate, every family they sustain, all exist within a security framework that makes peaceful commerce possible. The Philippines didn't choose this competition. China's artificial island construction, maritime militia harassment, and economic coercion forced these choices. American partnership offers an alternative to submission or isolation. But here's the question that should concern every viewer. As great power competition intensifies and military preparations accelerate, is the Philippines becoming Asia's shield against authoritarianism, or its inevitable battleground? The answer depends on decisions being made right now in Manila, Washington, and Beijing. Your awareness of these developments matters because democracies survive through informed citizens who understand the stakes. If this investigation revealed something you didn't know about the forces shaping Southeast Asia, hit that like button and subscribe to Discovering the Earth. Share this with someone who needs to understand the hidden currents of geopolitical change. Because in the game of nations, ignorance isn't bliss. It's vulnerability. Stay informed, stay curious, and remember, the future belongs to those who see it coming.